I am here with your disability rep, Roy Rickstrew. Good to see you, Roy, once again.
Good to see you.
Okay, questionnaires, disability questionnaires. Are these things required?
Well, yes, they are. There are people who don't return these things routinely. I see it all the time in case files. And it ultimately leads to your denial, most of the time that it truly does. And just kind of as a quick reminder to folks, there's 5 steps to determine disability.
Okay.
And these questionnaires dovetail into those 5 steps. That's why they're so important. So step 1, are you working?
Right.
And that's really full-time competitive work that you're doing. Step 2, does your condition interfere, hamper, cause problems with you doing basic work activities? Stand, walk, lift, carry, understand, remember, carry out instruction, things that are common to all jobs.
Right.
Step 3 are these listing of impairments. They're very specific medical criteria that you have to meet, hard to meet, very detailed, very specific. Step 4, can you go back to something you know how to do?
Okay.
And then at step 5, can you be retrained to go do something new?
Of course.
And so these questionnaires play into this process.
No, okay. Are they simple questionnaires? Are they things that the average person can easily answer?
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they're meant to be pretty user-friendly in that regards. The problem that we have a lot of times is sometimes it feels like they're asking the same question in 2 or 3 slightly different ways.
Right.
And it trips people up. And a lot of times you'll see a judge or Social Security come back and say the claimant's complaints were only partially consistent. They only have partial credibility because there was some sort of, in my opinion, perceived discrepancy in the way the forms were filled out.
And it just, and I know there is so much confusion, and I run into the same things in all different forms. As you said, wait a minute, I just answered that question. How can you help yourself along in this process?
Well, the biggest thing on filling out like a function report, which is how you function at home, is to think about this from the perspective of you're the employer, saying, what do I have to put up with for myself to work there? Right? Because then we kind of focus on the ways we're going to fail in the workplace instead of maybe bragging about the things that we can still do.
Okay.
So, that's extra breaks, elevating our feet, so on and so forth we have to put up with. So Social Security uses this function report to get an idea about how we function at home, our chores, our activities, our grocery shopping, and without it, they can't determine to what extent it interferes with your basic work activities.
Right.
If we don't tell them that I can't stand at the kitchen sink long enough to do dishes, then they don't understand that your capacity to stand is greatly limited. Your medical records may or may not solidify that, but it helps to give that extra push to give those real life examples as to how you struggle.
You see, and I'm looking at these here, and there are so many things that you have to keep in mind. I mean, this is where you kind of step in.
Yeah, it is. And even in these listing of impairments, these hard to meet medical criteria, there'll be marked limitations in different functions that if we don't convey to Social Security that we're struggling in those realms, they can't determine the degree of limitation and they can't determine your eligibility.
So now how many forms have we kind of gone through here?
There's another big one, which is the work history report.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and here, we get information about the jobs that we've done, how we've done them, maybe get some insight into what kind of skills we might have acquired. But when we have this discussion about whether or not you can go back to work that you know how to do, we have to understand how that work was done.
Knowing how to do it and being able to do it are 2 different things, though, right?
It is, but Social Security has to have your information about how the work was actually performed to then know if you have the mental and physical ability to go back and do that type of work.
Yeah.
So without this work history report, they really can't determine if you can go back to your job or if you can go back to something new. They have to have that understanding.
So if they can't determine,
it ties their hands, makes it harder for you to get approved. And what happens is they look at your case through only this really strict listings.
Yes.
And you have to meet this very strict criteria. You don't get any benefit of how you used to do the job, how you do the job now, what your chores look like at home, how you struggle. All of that's eliminated, and they look purely at a straight medical approval or denial.
all the information that you've just given me, what it leads me to ask is, how do I get to talk to you about this?
Yeah, so the number on the screen, the 417-812-6698, rings to my desk. I answer that phone personally. Give me a shout. I have time every day for same-day appointments. I have folks come in, we sit down, go through the process, get the application filed. There's no reason to dawdle on this. We can make a lot of progress today.
All right. Find someone who's going to be proactive and be in your corner. find your disability rep.